This is TWiT.
The co-founders of Honeycomb came from Parse and Facebook, and
there's Scuba tool there, right?
Yeah, they use Scuba, and Scuba is an older tool, and then they left and they said, "Man, we got to build something like that." But it just made it so they could deal with what sometimes people know as high cardinality data, but the more important thing is being able to very quickly go through at the highest and the deepest levels exactly what's wrong. And you're talking about the 300-person call at Amazon, and I'm thinking that's what all of them were doing. They should get Honeycomb, but everybody at the same time is trying to dig in as deep as possible. And sometimes it's the tool that's the problem. Often it's the data as well. And we like to, we're on a mission at Honeycomb to really promote the idea of observability, which itself is it's bigger than logs. And we have a conference coming up next week, kind of an open spaces conference, which we're sponsoring called OllieCon, or O11ycon.io. O11y, the word observability, squished down, O and 11 characters. And it's really get the discussion out there. See, you guys are quick. It's really to get the discussion going about how to increase the amount of things we can get out of our systems. Why? Because monitoring is great for knowns. The war rooms deal with the unknown unknowns, and that's what people are dealing with Honeycomb.
So I build large scalable services, and I know distributed services, and they're not easy. There's lots of moving parts. Can you just let's just take a quick step back? What are people doing right now to even deal with this? Let's say even outside of Honeycomb, what are people how are they dealing with these types of systems and this type of data and this flood of information?
Yeah, good question. So there's two methods that there's three methods that people usually use to observe in a way what's happening in their systems, right? They might collect metrics. Right, they're metrics, which are basically numbers that represent statistics around a particular state of something, right? CPU, memory, and whatever. They might go deep down and do tracing. So they may take and instrument their code and see what every call is doing. And they might step back out a little bit and look at all of the possible log entries that all of their systems are generated. So, coming from Splunk, a tool that deals with metrics and logs, and there's a number of them out there, from New Relic to Datadog to open source tools that deal with metrics and tracing and all that. I don't think there'll ever be a holy grail of one tool to rule them all, but until the robot apocalypse takes over, systems rely on the intuition of smart people to keep them running. And often the smartest people hate being on call, which are the guys and gals that actually write the software.
Right.
Yeah.
I can say that's true.
Yeah. Because also, like, observability is awesome if you can't see what's going on in prod. If in production, I have this shirt on here that's like, I test in prod, right? That's what it says. I don't know if I can see myself, but I test in prod, because really there is only one environment that matters, which is prod. And every release that you do, every feature flag that you turn on is really a test. It's actually a test. I mean, it's a joke. We say I test in prod, but that's what all production is a test. It's like Curtis said, to see if it's going to handle the load of the overly successful marketing, use case. But the ability for the developer who wrote the code, who knows deeply about it, to see exactly what's going on, that's actually not very common. And most systems either let you see the pre-aggregated statistics or only the deepest part. And it's so hard if you just deal only in traces and not a little bit of everything. So we're trying to make on-call not suck anymore at Honeycomb.
All right. Curtis, you had a comment about that.
Yeah, and this gets back to this whole thing, and it really is part and parcel of Agile and all of its variants. You're absolutely right. With today's complex systems, you don't truly get to stress test them until you put them out and let real world users have their hands on them. But aren't we really asking too much of our users, and especially if those users are customers, to say that, oh yeah, by the way, in addition to paying us for whatever our business is, you're going to be our beta testers for our code as well. I know how difficult the testing is. In a previous lifetime, I actually did very large system testing. But shouldn't there be a better way than just to throw it out and let the real world break it?
Yes. I mean, it's if you think about it, all business is a test of a business idea, right? When a local retailer decides to try a new flavor of an ice cream, sure, they might have tested it among their employees, and maybe they did some testing in the market, but they put it out there and it's just there, right? There is one should do some representative testing in all cases, right? Unit testing at the lowest level, load testing in your development and test environment, but it's almost impossible to replicate the behavior or even the size and scope of a production infrastructure anywhere other. I mean, you can't. Amazon themselves, Netflix is a great example. There's pretty much almost prod. Right now, the ability for you to turn on and turn off features, and the degree to which you adopt DevOps can aid in that. I mean, this is what we kind of think that really the main task is instrumentation. That instrumentation is the proper task of life. So if one does instrument, there's a really good chance that maybe the 300-person call isn't as bad as it is. But not to say you shouldn't test, but your biggest test environment is your actual customers, and seeing what's happening is pretty darn important.